say
We're
welcome
fine.
back, everyone. Welcome to our first podcast in a long
Eons.
time. We took a break. We decided to come back because part of the Mistveil was hype, baby.
It's literally AJ's dream set. There's nothing he hasn't liked about what we've been shown so far, and it's probably going to cement him a place in this game forever.
Yeah, I was waffling a little bit, and now it's like, no, you're not going anywhere, buddy. This is what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that mech set. It's like too many different kind of mechs, but they're like all the same mechs. It's like,
Do you know what's funny about the mech set about Evo is that honestly, like, I did really what's the word? Like, respect them for taking that leap. I think it just came at a really unfortunate time where they were trying to balance too much.
it was an insanely safe set. Like everything about it, like it was balanced solely for its draft and like sealed formats. And it feels like it didn't add that much, if anything, you could argue, to the competitive meta, like constructed meta. Dash.io ran away with like some tournaments, or did seem to be doing well at first, but in the long run, it's like a lot of that set minus the expansion slot cards, which of those are seeing play.
Yeah, I mean, Emboldened Blade is $17 or $18, where I don't think that card, if it was printed, if Emboldened Blade was in heavy hitters as like a normal Warrior Majestic, I think that thing's $1. So,
yeah, and then there's Already Dead, which I think is the most expensive. What was it called? Expansion slot card from a different class. That thing's like sitting at.
You're probably right.
It's like sitting at 35 or something.
I think it's like $50 actually.
Well, all because of part the Mistveil now, where we have a new assassin coming out. So and of course the one surprise card that I guess is not a surprise in terms of speculation. What was the illusionist card? The Tide Maw, Phantom Tide Maw, going from being a 2-cent bulk card to like being like $12 or something, at least when I last checked.
I think the foils at one point spiked to like $30. So
yeah, speculation be wild, man.
It is wild, especially the game seems like it's kind of seeing a resurgence. I think, hold on, we're gonna get into that. First of all, this is Adventure Code Gaming. I'm AJ. This is Ryan. It's been a while. Let's reintroduce ourselves. I'm someone who's been playing card games since about 2017. And I fell into Flesh and Blood like right at the beginning. I was looking for a new card game. They were coming out in 2019. Got this guy into it, and we've just been enjoying it ever since. We're kind of, I don't know. I like to think that sometimes I'm competitive, and then sometimes I'm more of a casual hobbyist at best. So, recently I'm on it's funny. I know we're in introductions. There's like a week where like I felt untouchable on Prism. I was like winning everything, and then like the next week I couldn't win a single game at all. So I guess it just ebbs and flows like that. But that's my background. Ryan, go ahead and reintroduce yourself to the people.
Hello, I'm Ryan. I've been playing card games since maybe about 2016 again. Of course, I played them as a kid, but that was more of like just, I had brothers at home that I could play with all the time. Started getting a little more competitive in Pokemon first until Flesh and Blood came around, and now a couple of years later, after like AJ said, he got me to try it back in 2019. Now we're how many sets of Flesh and Blood is in? Flesh and Blood's like 13 sets in, and still going strong in this game. So I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah. One reason I like to keep Ryan on the team is he is our deck builder like extraordinaire, I think. So Ryan, a little background on him. If he played meta, I think he'd be like one of the strongest players in Orlando/Florida. And he doesn't. He just plays like off meta, and does all right. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they're always interesting.
I just can't keep seeing the same thing over and over again each game, and expect to keep having fun with it personally. So I have to be the one who does something different, or at least tries other things to see if I can get them to work. Just just so that there's something a little different each round. I may be going up against the same matchups, but everyone's going up against something different with me.
So we're gonna get right back into Mistveil. So I do think that this set is like a it's a great resurgence for the game. I think we're seeing way more popularity. We're seeing people get into the game that I think, at least locally, that normally wouldn't. But they're seeing these spoiler cards. They're seeing the art on the marvels that they've been spoiling, and I think it's just great. Every piece of card art has been insane. Now, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I've seen a lot of comparisons to the Strixhaven Mystical Archives, which I think even some of the artists, I don't know that for sure, but I think I saw that somewhere that some of the artists are the same. But I'll say that,
after seeing some of the artwork, I can say that, like for the alternate artwork for, I believe it was, why am I forgetting the illusionist name? Enigma. Or the like alternate artwork that I saw for her, that definitely looked like some of the artwork I had seen for the Strixhaven or the Magic collection that you had mentioned. So definitely not a stretch to say that they were similar or same artists taken from that.
Yeah, well, even that, like just looking at them now, I'm kind of looking over the Fabry spoiler page, which Fabry is great. It has like a little part the Mistveil tab at the top, and it has them all like kind of just laid out in set order. And you can even hit show placeholders, and you kind of see where they are in the set, which is pretty cool. And just looking at it, it's just, I'm so excited for this set. I mean, it's funny. I said this on Twitter. It's the first set where the hero I am most excited for isn't the waifu out of the set. It's actually Zen.
Yeah.
And Zen, just from a competitive standpoint, seems like the strongest out of the box, not knowing what the other ones do. But yeah, I'm super excited for this set. We're going to get into some of the cards, all the cards that we've seen so far, because we're a little bit behind since it's been so long.
Oh yeah, I can agree with you there. Zen being the one that, well, actually, let's go in order. Let's where do we want to start with talking about the set as a whole, and we'll get to him. Okay, yeah. So New being the new assassin, she's definitely got a lot of people's attention for various reasons. But she is the new assassin for this set.
Yeah, so we'll just read off New real quick. So New is a new assassin. New alluring desire. She reads, your attacks with stealth get, when this chain link resolves, banish all action cards defending this. Notice it doesn't say attack action cards. And also know if you're playing Tekla-Vossen, you're gonna have a real bad time.
Yeah.
Because your equipment's still considered action cards even when they're attached. But either way. Then she has, that's her static ability, and then she has it's not once per turn, she has an instant where you pay 3 chi, which is a new mechanic, we'll probably get into that later too, but pay 3 chi, look at the top card of an opposing hero's deck. If it's blue, you may banish it. Until end of turn, you may play blue cards from that hero's banishment without paying their resource cost. And she's got 4 intellect, 40 health, pretty standard. There.
Yeah, I don't think, not even Enigma. Yeah, everyone in the set, we'll just say now, is the standard 4 intellect, 40 health. So no like crazy illusionist or wizard heroes to mix things up or warrant a health nerf.
Yeah.
Not this set. But I will say, going into her abilities, so the banishing cards off of stealth kind of helps with her contract stuff, so that even if she doesn't hit with them, hopefully you can fulfill some contracts with contract related cards. But it seems like, except for Arachne, all new assassins want to play more off the stealth mechanic than the contract mechanic. Not that they can't use both, of course, but it seems like we're going to get a lot more stealth cards than any more contract cards in this set, as in a general sense.
Oh yeah,
but
that's something they've talked about in a couple interviews. I think Brian Gottlieb in general has said that stealth is a much more they want to go with more unifying mechanics, and they kind of are going with stealth for the assassins because it's kind of cool, right? Because if you think about it, stealth applies to an assassin in general, but how does it apply? To New, it could apply in the sense that we're going to see more less. It's gonna be like more like enticing to block. I don't know. I'm just kind of going off like the flavor there or something like that. But uh,
Enticing in what way? I wonder.
but I'm just saying like your attacks with stealth get when this chain link resolves banish all action cards defending it. That's something different, right? So it's kind of interesting that stealth, as of right now, until we get more stealth, if there's more stealth synergies in the set, then that's different. But right now, stealth doesn't really do a whole lot other than help you fulfill her activated ability. Whereas stealth on I know he's blitz only, but the Arachne solitary confinement gives all your attacks go again. And of course with Azuri, stealth is a huge part of her mechanic because that allows you to do the switchblade effect, right, where you switch a more expensive card out or after a dominate, isolate or something like that, right? Whereas the stealth on new, it doesn't really do a lot until you activate that ability, and hopefully you've banished a bunch of blue cards that you can now cheat out, basically, right? So
Yeah, I feel like this was mentioned before when they were talking about stealth as a keyword, that the stealth itself doesn't actually do anything. It just
right,
denotes like a card type, I guess, or like a card quality that interacts with
yeah,
the other cards that say do something with stealth.
right. They just have
Um,
stealth, and every assassin will interact with stealth a little bit differently. But so it's cool in one way that two assassins could play the same card, but they kind of appreciate it in a much different way just because of the way they interact with stealth.
I do like that going forward, and we could see that there's some of the there's been in the past few sets in general, there's been a lot of new keywords introduced to classes that I think they'll go with moving forward, and maybe some key or a lack of keywords that from even the first sets that I don't think we may see again, like the reprise mechanic for warrior. It seems like they're more into based on what we saw from heavy hitters, saying that depending on what they defend with, rather than if they just defended at hand from hand, uh, but more of what they defend with, then you get the bonus effects or kind of the warrior flavor text to go to activate.
Right. So we're going to move on to her first card that we've seen spoiled, and it's a big one. So it's going to be also a good opportunity to kind of explain chi and the chi mechanic, because
Hmm.
that's how we're going to generate that chi that we talked about earlier, right? So the card I'm going to talk about is Sacred Art Undercurrent Desires. It's a Mystic Assassin instant. Cost 3, pitches for 3. It's legendary, so that's going to be a common theme with all the chi cards that you'll see in a second. But every one we've seen so far has been legendary, so you only have one copy. And it says, if you've played another blue card this turn, choose 3, otherwise choose 1. So the first one, so there's three modes, right? So the first one is create a Fang Strike and Slither in your hand. Now there's a question: is that 2 cards, or is the card literally called Fang Strike and Slither? So there's quite. We'll see that. I think these cards are both going to be ephemeral, obviously, because you're creating them. So I think we're going to see a Crouching Tiger mechanic where they're going to come back as ephemeral. Either way, the second mode is banish up to 2 cards in an opposing hero's graveyard. So that helps you fulfill news, what she wants to do. Also, to your point, some contract stuff if that comes up, get some silver. And then finally, transcend. And so transcend, to explain that real quick, transcend means when you transcend the card, you flip it over, and on the backside you'll see 3 chi resources. And then you put it back into your hand. So you automatically get those 3 resources back into your hand, and now that flipped card remains flipped the rest of the game. And now you have a card that pitches for either 3 resources or 3 chi.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more the first thing that came out when we got the heroes revealed before anything else was what do these little blue dots mean, and it's so cool to see how this is interacting with the game moving forward. It's not something that you put in your deck that you get their inherent effect from immediately. It plays into what Mystic looks like it wants to do compared to Draconic, where it wants to play with blue cards over red cards. But then not only that, but it creates a state where your deck moving further into the game has more opportunities to use the chi effects just by having when you've transcended more cards total.
Yeah.
So
And definitely, like, you'll transcend more and more, and now these flipped cards are in your deck. Now, it is important to note that also all the cheat cards that we have seen, including this one, are all instants, so they don't block on the front. And the backside is just the chi that doesn't block either, so all it does is pitch. You can't arsenal it, which is kind of scary. I mean, yes, you can, but it's like a gem in a way that, like, it's kind of just there now.
okay, that's why they gave us cards like Standing Order and stuff, so we could cycle our uh, heck is it called, Arsenal more.
It's kind of hard to evaluate this card right now because we don't know what a Fang Strike and Slither is, and we also don't know if New will have any other way to play other than infiltrate, play more cards out of a banish zone. I will say, banishing up to 2 cards in particular can destroy Phi's game plan. So you can just banish a Phoenix Flame, and if there's any other hero in the future that cares about their graveyard more than their banish, this does hit that as well. So it's hard to tell. I mean, I'm sure this is good. The other 2 that we're going to talk about seem really good. So I'm assuming a Fang Strike and a Slither. 1, I think personally that they're 2 cards. And 2, like, what do they do? Who knows? They probably have stealth. That's all I'll say. I'll probably bet that they have stealth.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's always the fun part about getting these keywords or new words in cards, but not actually have them themselves is just the fun of speculation. So
So we're gonna move on to. All right,
I am excited to find out what they do though.
Oh yeah, me too. All right, so we're gonna move on to the hero that I'm second most excited for. I think Ryan's most excited for. This is Enigma, Ledger of Ancestry. So Enigma again, 4 health or 4 intellect, 40 health hero. She reads: your first spectral shield attack each turn costs 1 less to activate, and once per turn instant, pay 3 chi. Create a spectral shield token with a +1 counter. And that +1 counter is important to note that it is not temporary. So as long as you keep that spectral shield alive, it'll have the +1 counter. Now this one's a little hard to judge as well off the face because we don't have a weapon yet. So the only thing we can go off of is Iris of Reality and the other one, Reality Refractor.
So we at least have in general more of a sense of what you kind of. I guess we have a little bit of inference as to what possible strengths she could have with this ability based on the current cards, in case there's an argument to play them over what she gets in this set as like just a different game plan or strategy. But I definitely like that we're finally getting an illusionist that looks like it'll have more as the aesthetic aesthetic components that align with more of the neutral illusionist cards that we've gotten so far. So instead of being like all dragons and sand or all angels and stuff, we have something that's like a little more spectral, maybe even spooky or kind of like ghostly. That's what I'm excited about for this hero. I've been waiting for either a normal illusionist or even like a shadow or now mystic illusionist to give me something that really feeds into the other cards that we've gotten for illusionist, like Phantasmaclasm and that kind of aesthetic.
I'm really curious to see. I don't think her offensive output's going to be very high, and the only reason I say that, she might have some blow up turns, but we've seen with Prism especially, right? Like her big balancing mechanic is that, or balancing, yeah, we can say mechanic, is that she's a 32 life hero, right? With a bunch of ward. I mean, she makes angels that are ward 4, but Enigma seems completely centered around spectral shields. Even the next card we're going to talk about makes spectral shields. So that's a lot of ward going on that they didn't give her like a life deficit to make up for it. So
yeah, and the funny thing about that is, yeah, and the funny thing is that like all these cards that we got like from Dynasty and even from some from Dusk Till Dawn for Illusionist, and even the Phantom Tide mod we talked about, those all have ward as well. So it's like all these other cards, equipment, and everything else they've been even making for Illusionist have ward preemptively. So I wonder how that all balances in for them either being viable or them being kind of like, useless one-offs if you can somehow guarantee your opponent's not going to immediately attack and destroy them. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays into what they've made so far for her. Or made for Illusionist recently, and mix it with this new Mystic mechanic or whatever updated Spectral Shield mechanics they're going to do with this set.
Yeah, so moving on to the one card that we have for her. It is Sacred Art, Immortal Lunar Shrine. It is a Mystic Illusionist instant. Cost 3, pitches for 3. Again, legendary. And it says, if you played another blue card this turn, choose 3. Otherwise, choose 1. So the 3 modes on this card are create 2 Spectral Shields, put a +1 counter on each aura with ward you control, and then Transcend, which again is the chi mechanic that we talked about earlier. It's really interesting to note that the second mode says put a +1 counter on each aura with ward. That's not just Spectral Shields, right? It's Spectral Shields, which of course they've been errated to say Ward 1. They always were Ward 1 effectively. They just now truly say Ward 1 on any new Spectral Shield. But we have a lot of... I'm assuming we're gonna get a lot more in the set, but we already have a few auras with ward that are interesting. There's Tome of Ao, I think it's called. It's like you put it down, and then if it lives to your next turn, you pop it and draw 2, I think. 2 or 3.
I think it's just for a 1, unfortunately.
Really?
It's just 1. That's kind of goes into what I was just saying. Like, there's a bunch of cards with ward that have like effects if they live, but they feel like just fodder to be ready to be destroyed. And it's like, I hope they do something interesting with it, but this is definitely interesting in that you get to power up all your Spectral Shields, create some more on top of that, and we don't have I was going to say, we still don't have enough in terms of how we might be able to generate Spectral Shields more in this set, because one of the things that we have to consider when we predict this is that she's going to need ways to make this for the sealed formats, like Spectral Shields. So I'm curious what they're...
key cards, for sure. And I'm sure a lot of them are coins or tokens.
But there has to be a more consistent way in which she does it if her weapon turns out to be like Iris or Refractor, because otherwise she's going to be the only one without like a consistent damaging weapon out of the whole set, unless she can generate the Spectral Shields regularly. So that's going to be the interesting thing to see, because obviously once they make it for, the sealed formats, we get to see how we can play with them and constructed. So, but
I will say
it really just depends on how we can make those Spectral Shields.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like to your point, I think her weapon will play a big part in that. Definitely, it's gonna. I have a feeling her weapon's gonna care more about ward than Spectral Shield in particular, because otherwise, like, what's the point of the second line of text on that card? And so I don't know. Phantom Tide Maw, maybe Scene Play. I don't know. It's gonna be like really big deal if like you can turn off ward somehow.
Yeah.
A lot of people are speculating that she has a demi hero like Levia and like Teklevossen, because in a lot of the kind of a spoilery / teasing of the set, they're like Enigma's true form will be unlocked. So we'll see. We'll have to see.
I hope so then, because that sounds really cool. And she is called the Ledger of Ancestry, so she could become like an avatar of like some sort of past shrine.
She just becomes a giant
god
scroll.
Or something.
Just rolling around as a giant scroll.
She's just a scroll yokai. She just writes things on herself to keep history and records.
Before we get too derailed, let's move on to Zen, Tamer of Purpose, who is my favorite hero in the set, like by far, in terms of like their hero ability. Maybe not aesthetically, but definitely in terms of that ability. So it's also good to note that he's also the only one without a passive, so that maybe tells you how strong this active ability is. So Zen. Zen, Tamer of Purpose. Again, 4 intellect, 40 health hero. Once per turn instant. Also, he's the only one. Oh no, both him and Enigma are once per turn. So once per turn instant, pay 3 chi, create a Crouching Tiger in your hand, search your deck for a card with combo, banish it, then shuffle. You may play it this turn. So just on the face of this, again, when you transcend these cards that we're going to talk about, you get the chi back immediately. So already you can just like transcend, then activate his ability, get a Crouching Tiger and a combo card. So we've already seen crazy interactions with that where you can just like go get the swipe. Whichever one gives them +1 for the turn. So
no, that's a non-attack action, and it doesn't have combo.
Oh, okay.
But,
there's one that's like really good.
Yeah, that's the furious swipes where for every crouching, if it hits for every crouching tiger that's on the combat chain, create one more crouching tiger. That one's pretty insane. But you need something to buff those tigers, which I'm obviously we only got the buff in like Dynasty and a little bit in the Ira deck, but we're definitely going to get a ton more crouching tiger related stuff in this set because it's Zen. That's his whole theme from what it looks like.
Yeah, I see
So
what you're talking about. So yeah, combo. It's a Tiger Swipe. It's from Dynasty. If Tiger combo, if Crouching Tiger was the last attack this combat chain that says +2, go again. And when this hits, creates X Crouching Tigers in your banish zone, where X is the number of Crouching Tigers you control. So already we're seeing like some absurd, like we're getting to like chain link 12 if we can manage it. So.
oh yeah. I think I've seen a few people at locals doing the like Tiger Katsu thing and just getting that blowout turn with the Tiger buff and the Art of War and all these other things, and it's like it's possible. It'll probably be, yeah, me too. It'll probably be a lot easier now, or just a lot more just consistent now with whatever comes out in this set. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm just so excited for the kind of shenanigans that I think Zen just represents like the competitive hero I've always wanted, where it just feels like I can just go crazy and just go off and like do the craziest shenanigan combo moves and just truly feel like I'm playing like a fighting game. That I'm not very good at those either, but you know what I mean, just a really crazy like 50 hit combo or something, and like
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think that's one of the cool things this set is already hinting at, is that it's being a little less safe, or it being a little more daring now, with you being able to have like the high risk, high reward mechanics. Because like we said, putting things with Transcend or making things transform into zero block pitch blues has its downsides the longer the game goes on, but man, it can really pay off with some of their abilities.
yeah. And speaking of, we're gonna go into another card that I just think is busted. Just we actually can kind of gauge this one without the full context just of how good this really seems. So this is Zen's Mystic Sacred Art. So it's Sacred Art Jade Tiger Domain. Again, pitches for 3, cost 3, Mystic Ninja instant. Again, legendary. It says if you played another blue card this turn, choose 3, otherwise choose 1. The first mode is create 2 Crouching Tigers in your hand. Busted. Create your Crouching Tigers get +1 this turn. Busted. And Transcend. So this will come back to your hand as 3 resources that you can then pitch to Zen's ability. This is insane. This is so good.
It literally feels like a combo in itself, where it just flows right into what you want to do with Zen.
Just Zen's ability and this card make me insanely excited, and the fact that everything's a tiger, they're so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, tigers are cool, bro. Tigers aren't your favorite big cat. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah. What do you like, lions? Okay.
I don't know if we should be. I was gonna say, I don't know if we should be saying that in our home city, man. That's kind of like our mascot, apparently.
Like Orlando City Lions? Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
What do you like, cheetahs? They like break their legs all the time and they can't like frail.
And get bullied by everything in the savannah.
Oh goodness. But yeah, I'm excited. It's hard again to go very far into like what this hero does and their ceiling. But I just think he's gonna do some really crazy stuff. Again, this card represents like 5 chain links in its own, so
it's insane, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what kind of stuff he does. He also looks like he has a staff. This just came to mind.
Don't bring that up. Go ahead.
Yeah, why don't you go off, or why don't you talk about it then? He's your hero of choice.
I'm just excited to see what it does. I hope that's the weapon. You know, like I hope. I'm just so over Kodachis, man. Been playing.
They're supposed to be. The thing is, they're supposed to be Katsu's thing. They're supposed to be his signature weapon. They flow into kind of like his pattern. And to be fair, I think they would switch to something else because like the chi cards, they don't have zero cost. So pitching them would not give. Yeah, pitching them would not give the Kodachis go again. So I have a feeling we're getting something new. I'm I'm praying we're getting something new for each of these
That
heroes.
staff looks sick. I mean,
It does.
There's a small chance that all three of these heroes have their weapon in their art, right? So Zen has the staff, Enigma has this ledger thing behind her, and then New has like a fan, which could have like daggers in it or something. I don't know. It could be.
Oh yeah.
So who knows? Maybe they have their weapon, maybe they don't. I don't want to. I really, really hope that the optimal way to play Zen is not with Kodachis.
Yeah, no, I'll be very disappointed if that's the case. Or just on New real quick, or she had like those things they put in their hair, like those things they put together to keep their hair in that bun.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah. But those could be her daggers.
No.
Yeah, those could be her daggers too. There's so many cool ways, there are cool options they have to go with for the aesthetics on this set as a whole. And I think we've already seen that in these cards here.
All right, we have a handful of cards to kind of go quick through them. We have one Majestic that we know of. There's a bunch of Marvels, so we don't know the rarity, but we're just going to go down the list pretty straightforward here. So we have, I'm going to say this word wrong. Orihon.
Or the H is like less pronounced. It's Orion.
If it was Japanese pronunciation with like Romaji, it would be Orihon. So I don't know.
Well then, in that case, I will defer to your wisdom on that, since I don't know jack about speaking Japanese.
It's okay. We're just gonna call it Orion. Of Mystic Tenets. And so this is a legendary, which is interesting because I don't know, has there been a tome that's been legendary? This is basically a tome. We'll see. We'll have it up on the screen, so you'll see it's a big book.
No, every other book is had multiple copies printed.
Well, like you could have multiple copies, right? So
I was trying to be cheeky with that, but no, every other tome, including the latest one with the draconic one. Yeah, no, they're all playable. At 3.
This one has a little bit of a callback to Tome of Divinity in the sense that it costs 4, which Tome of Divinity does as well. And this pitches for 3 though, which is not so bad. So if you're going to play it, it seems pretty good. Its effect reads, it's also an instant, so that's good to know. It doesn't block either, but it is an instant. It does read, draw 2 cards. If a chi was pitched to play this, instead draw 3 cards. So it's kind of weird, right? Because if you play this pitching, like, I'm just trying to think of a world where like you flip a chi card, like a transcend card, but you played this first. Like that doesn't exist, right? So you have to already have the chi, or you have to transcend that turn or something like that.
No, not even on the same turn. Remember, the card cycles, the chi cycles, so you can come back to it later.
You can. I will say, just with like a chi card and Tunic, this is pretty strong. So like you pitch a blue, essentially, like a chi card, and then use your Tunic and draw 3. You go +1 there, which is pretty good. You do lose your Tunic counter, but I mean going +1 is always good.
It counts as playing a blue for the turn, so it'll turn on other effects that Mystic's going to work off.
It's hard to say if it's good or not right now, because again, we don't have the full picture, and we also, as we're about to see, we're about to fill our deck with a bunch of non-block cards, and this is another one. So we just have to be careful. I mean, someone like Zen might not want to block at all, kind of like how we used to see Phi do, and even sometimes Katsu. Someone like Enigma might be able to get away with not blocking that turn because she just has the Spectral Shield wall or something. So it's interesting. Again, this is probably one of those, like, maybe you play it, maybe you don't. Someone in the Purple Discord was like, why do they keep printing like bad books or whatever? And I was like, well, they've printed 11 and 7 of them have seen play, so it's not like they're all bad. But we do have like the original Draconic one. I don't know, it's like if it's Chainlink 4 or higher, you draw 2 or something. It was like really difficult.
Oh, that one. I completely forgot about that one. When I said the Draconic one earlier, I was thinking entirely of the...
You were thinking of Imperial Flame.
Yeah, the Royal one.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's the good one, especially in Dromai. But yeah, we'll see. Interesting card, draw 3 card. Draw a card is always good. Draw 2 is even better, and draw 3 is the best we've seen. So we'll just have to see if... And I also hope, I said earlier, Kodachis don't see play. I hope hope I don't have to play Tunic either. I just want to see some
I'm
variety.
kind of hoping for that too. I mean, looking back real quick for Enigma, like we have the Celestial Kimono, like that screams Mystic. Like if they show us a way where that's going to be like a usable card, because the reason why no one cares about it is Ward 1 breaks pretty early if you take any points of damage. But if there's a way to turn that off or just make it more usable in the long game, I would love to use that card over Tunic.
Oh yeah. All right. So the next set of cards we're gonna spoil or talk about. We're not gonna spoil them. They've been spoiled. It's a
Yes.
cycle. It's like I don't know. You want to call it the water cycle. So it's basically 4 cards that have been spoiled. They're all mystic action attacks. They all block for 2, and they all pitch for 3. They're all blue, right? Which I think is gonna be a pretty generic theme. Is that blues matter in the set?
It seems like the theme of the set, yeah.
So the cycle is, I mean, all these cards are essentially the same. We'll just put all 4 on the screen, but it's Droplet, Rising Tide, Spillover, and Tidal Surge. And in those 4 cards, the only difference between the 4 of them is their cost and their base attack, right? So we have a 0 for 2, a 1 for 3, a 2 for 4, and a 3 for 5. And they all have the same ability that reads, if you played another blue card this turn, it gets +2. I personally think these cards will find their home in draft and probably nowhere else, to be completely honest.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I was thinking, is that these are supposed to be like built for the theme of the set, built for the theme of Mystic, but most of all just kind of like powered down to be just common cards for the sealed formats.
I really like it starts with a little bit of water, then there's more water, then there's a lot of water, and then there's a tidal wave of water.
I like the art on the cards. I like the aesthetic. But yeah, I don't see them having much play outside of sealed formats.
It's funny, the only one I think that would see play, truly, is Tidal Surge, maybe. Just in case like Mystic cards matter in some other way. And the fact that you're already playing blues, so paying the 3 cost doesn't feel so bad. And it's 3 for 7. I don't know. It just depends if like Mystic cards matter.
That's if they actually cycle color cycle. These might just be blue cards.
No. Because Tidal Surge with its ability is a 3 for 7.
Oh, 3 for 7. You're right. I thought you meant like it would raise to base 7. That would be insane, actually.
A 3 for 7 on a blue is actually really good. And so something you can do is, again, we'll talk about them literally next, but all the cheat cards care if you, all the transcend cards, I should be saying, care if you played a blue. So in a world where you go Tidal Surge, pitch a blue Tidal Surge, and then in response to Tidal Surge before it resolves, you play Homage. You play a cheat card, one of the instants, and now you've both satisfied the condition of the cheat cards, and you satisfy the condition of Tidal Surge. Now you get a 7, and you get a cheat card.
Yeah. So you get the set. Yeah, I like that about the cards that we'll talk about in a second, is that there's ways that you can play in a little more, like you could say, interesting, or a little more I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of besides just like in a more interesting fashion, like playing through instant speeds or playing stacking effects on top of each other so they all trigger. It's adding that dynamic to the game that we saw kind of early on and just haven't seen in the past couple sets, really, it feels like. So
yeah,
I'm glad we're going back to that.
All right, so we're gonna go. We've been teasing you guys with these Mystic transcend cards. We're just gonna go right down the list. First of all, we're gonna have the art again on the screen as we go through them. But they all look wonderful. They are all.
These marvels are insane. Like, they went all out on them, and I would be happy to even just pull one on my own to say I have.
I was gonna say there's definitely 2 I'm looking at right now that more than all the other ones, and if I could stir the pot, I'll be happy. It's pretty funny, but
It is funny. That one is funny.
All right, so we're gonna start off with homage to ancestors, and something before I even go through. I think all of the ones that have been spoiled so far, all zero cost, other than the mystic or sacred arts that we talked about earlier. So they're all zero cost. They all pitch for 3, and they're all legendary. Important to note, they're all legendary, and they all have the same text that says, if you've played another blue card this turn, transcend, which again means flip it over, becomes a 3 chi card, and then bounces back to your hand.
We should probably before we go off that point, the fact they changed something about legendary with these cards that imply they're going to be pretty common to find in the sealed formats. So,
or just important to like that you might not get different ones, right? They changed legendary, to your point. They changed it to where legendary only matters for constructed decks. So if you draft it, you can draft more than one, or if you open it in sealed, you can play more than one.
Yeah, so if you pulled, like you said, homage to ancestors, if you had like 3 of them all of a sudden, then you'd be able to, what's it called? You'd be able to play all 3 of them in your sealed deck.
Its actual effect, is just gain 1 life. So it's like a blue sigil, but it's a blue sigil that turns back into 3 resources that pitches for your hero ability and pitches for Tome, or Orion. So I don't know. This is probably one you will play because we're going to see there's some that are better than others. And I think gaining 1 life, while not the strongest effect, it's just pretty good. So
most of these that we've seen so far don't have strong effects, but some of them are at least passable, or just you could say useful in the long run, before you turn it into its actual purpose to become chi.
Yeah, it's just how many chi cards do you really want, right? How many do we need in the deck?
But this one would be higher up on the list than a few of the others we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the next one is called Passover. It reads, again, legendary, transcend, if you played another blue card, but it says banish target card from an opposing graveyard, opposing hero's graveyard. I think this one is an auto-include in new for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's just going to be in new. I mean, we're going to see... case in point, if you're playing against Katsu, or you're playing against anyone that's playing the Bonds of Ancestry line, you can start banishing. You can banish a card that they would want to banish with Bonds. Again, you're gonna have to do it before they resolve Bonds. But again, I think if you can like pick out the Dishonor that's already in their graveyard and just banish it so that they can't banish it for Bonds, that's a line you can take.
There's also the Phoenix Flames for Phi.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. But yeah, Phi banishing Phoenix Flame is pretty devastating.
So yeah, this one has more selective use. If there aren't as many chi cards as the like more than what we've already seen, then you might just want to include it so you can have more chi numbers. But if there's an option to, probably one of the first ones I would cut in most situations for the other heroes.
Okay. The next one I don't remember the name of because we've only seen the Japanese version. Someone did translate it. It's like the road most traveled or something, I think is what it kind of translates to. I know
all roads lead to Rome.
I know some Japanese, but not enough. So again, this one's legendary, transcend, but it has one of the stronger effects of the transcend cards that we've seen. This one literally just reads target attack gains go again. So I mean, you can just think of very simple interactions where it's like Command and Conquer coming in for 6 and like, oh, their turn's over, and then they go this card and their turn's not over.
Oh yeah. And the crazy part about that is that just is like you said, it can be any card, just any attack unconditionally, which is pretty awesome. And it's a sad but probably a good thing that it's a legendary, so there's only one of you can play in constructed formats.
Yeah.
I suspect, even though we only see the Marvel symbol at the bottom, that this is probably going to be a majestic card compared to the other ones we've seen.
I would completely agree. This is probably majestic.
Can you imagine pulling multiple of these because it's common in like a sealed or draft format? Oh my god, you'd be so easily ahead of anyone else in the competition that didn't get even one of these.
It's funny, the next one is actually the only one we have the rarity for because they originally spoiled it in like an article or something. That's preserved tradition. So we know we're going to get some commons because this is a common. Again, legendary, transcend if you played a blue card. And its effect says put target action card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. So it's kind of like a weird remembrance of one. It's any action card, just like remembrance. So interesting. Again, you're probably just playing this because you need chi. You don't really care about the effect too much. There's probably
I would say compared to a few of the others, like Passover, for example, it's actually usable though. Like say you want to put in an extra copy of, like we said for the past example, a Command and Conquer back in your deck, and you have to transcend it anyway. At least you feel like you got use out of the card for a blue. So it's got one of the better common effects.
I think Passover is in the matchups it's strong is like way stronger than.
Oh yeah. But so far, at least, other than if you want to mess with shadow heroes somehow, like the two ninjas are the only ones who really keep or reuse or care about stuff in their graveyard most of the time. So, but yeah, it is stronger when it does go against those matchups. But Preserved Tradition, I think, is going to be a staple in all the chi using heroes, unless they give us a ton of choices, because it's not. Again, none of the other ones are crazy besides the Majestic one, but it's usable. I could see myself recycling an important card.
Oh yeah. The next one is my favorite art on a Flesh and Blood card I've ever seen.
It is pretty insane. I do enjoy it as well.
And that's saying a lot. So it's Rising Sun, Setting Moon. Again, cost 0, pitches for 3, legendary. If you played a blue this turn, transcend, and it says draw a card, then put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. So it's got a bit of that that Dory card that I can't remember, Stroke of Foresight, where you don't put it on the top or bottom, you just have to put it on the bottom.
But, I would say sink below, yeah, sink below.
Right.
The instant.
It's like reverse sink below though, right? Because in sink below you have to sink the card first, then draw, right? So.
So at least you get to see what you're getting first, and even sink that card if you don't need it.
So I actually think this card, other than the road one, the go again one, I think this is like an auto include in every Mystic deck. I think again they might all be auto includes just because of the however much chi you need, and like it becomes optimal. But this one in particular just feels hand fixing is so important, especially in a set where the pitch values matter. So you might even, blue cards do matter in the set, but you might even get blue flooded, right? We don't want to always be swinging blues. I'm sure we'll see reds and yellows that matter. So in the set that are very good. So maybe you drew those reds and you need a blue card or something like that, and you just don't have the resources or something like that. I don't know. Just hand fixing is always important. That's why Sink Below is so good. So I pull this in Marvel. I think this is so pretty. I want it so bad.
I agree. Out of the ones we've seen so far, this one and Passover are probably my two favorites in terms of their aesthetic. Yeah. Now, the next one, I like the artwork on that one too, but more for comedic reasons.
It's definitely different. It's definitely very traditional Japanese, kind of like that, what is it, yokai stuff?
Yokai stuff, yeah.
Very old school. Again, we'll have it on the screen. Some people love it, some people hate it. There's a little skeleton dude that's chilling. I love him. He's on the right side. So.
Yeah.
This one is Stir the Pot. And again, legendary, transcend if you played a blue. All it says is shuffle. That's the only effect. And it's not shuffle target heroes deck. It's just you shuffle your deck. I like that they didn't even say, like, shuffle your deck. It just says shuffle. What does that mean? You could just shuffle your feet. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say just shuffle your hand.
Yeah, so, no, you shuffle your deck. But that's it. The one saving grace of this card is there could be a world. Again, first of all, you might just need to play it because of chi. Again, depending on like how much chi we have access to and how many we're expected to make optimal. I will say this is probably the first one that gets cut. The only thing I'll say is that in a world where you've pitched a lot of your chi and it's kind of stuck at the bottom of your deck, this gets it off the bottom of your deck. So maybe
That is actually the exact same thing I just thought of when it came to like what this card's overall usefulness might be in terms of like shuffling your pitch stack or changing that up. Is that when you make and transcend your chi throughout the game, it's all going to be clumped together at the bottom, and maybe you want to at least see them at separate times or see them earlier. Playing this to shuffle, if you've already created or transcended a bunch of chi already, will automatically make it a little more variable or make it more likely that you see them separately, so you can do your once per turn effects, more once per turn.
And then I doubt we'll get an effect that does this. But wouldn't it be so cool if Assassin or someone had something like that put a card in your opponent's deck? I mean, we see that a lot in like other card games, like Hearthstone. Like it's usually digital because of just the logistics of it. But we've seen it in Yu-Gi-Oh! With Parasite. Again, that card's a ruling nightmare, but like...
I mean, we do have something called a Slither token, possibly, that could do something like that.
But like, imagine, okay, so the world where the Slither token goes like second card from the top or something, or even on top of your deck, and you're like, and it does something when it gets drawn. We go like, no, shuffle. Now it's not on the top. So I don't know. We'll probably never see an effect like that in a physical card game again.
I don't think Flesh and Blood would be the ones to try and take the burden of all those rulings, all those ruling nightmares and all the other stuff into their card game right now.
Unfortunately.
But it would be funny.
It would be super cool. But yeah, I think that's all we're going to talk about today as far as Part of Mistveil. We did get a few cards. I'll just run through them real quick, and we can kind of flash them up on screen. We won't talk about them too much, but they're promos that have been spoiled. So we have Big Blue Sky. You get Big Blue Sky and Wide Blue Yonder from buying some Dragon Shield sleeves as a promo. And of course, it'll be a set as well. But Big Blue Sky is a defense reaction. 0 cost. Blue Pitch says this gets +1 defense for each blue card you've pitched this turn. And it has a base block of 2. I think this card is really bad. You'll probably only play it in draft, and you'll probably be upset if you draft it. Like, completely honest.
I mean, just knowing how illusionists work on instance, you could see play in Enigma depending on what they make in the set. Right. It also can be used in it can be used in Enigma. It counts as a blue card, so then you can transcend, like, pass over the other legendaries to make chi, and then instantly use her ability. So it could see some play. Maybe.
You're right. There's probably like a small niche use case, but I just think overall it probably won't see a lot of play, specifically because
the other one is far more likely to see some play. Wide Blue Yonder.
Big Blue Sky.
Oh, sorry.
Just specifically because pitching blue cards, pitching cards in general on your opponent's turn is pretty bad, typically.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see. I don't think this card's very good, but
because if you don't use the full value out of it, anything left over is gone to waste. So.
Yep. The next one is Wide Blue Yonder. This one's pretty straightforward. Again, pitches for 3, cost 0, blocks for 2. Attack reaction says target attack gets +1 for each blue card you pitch. So it's kind of like the polar opposite of Big Blue Sky. It's okay. The only thing is you could like kind of combo this with what's that card? The Majestic. Exude Confidence. You can kind of do like some...
Exude Confidence, yeah.
Kind of do some silly plays with Exude Confidence in this card. Maybe blow your opponent out in some weird way. But again, it's kind of a lot to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Let's put it this way. It's at least a +1 0 cost reaction for anything, actually. Yeah, this works on any attack. You just have to be a Mistveil to play it. So I would say, in a general sense, that card will always have some use to it for at least ninjas. Like, maybe you just need that one extra hits, like Ancestral Empowerment, to get the tigers to hit, or get that one card to hit so you can make some more tigers. So I would definitely think this sees more play than Big Blue Sky, generally.
And it's pretty.
Yes, they're all very pretty.
I will say, to your point, at worst, this card's a lunging press in Mystic, so...
Yeah.
Well, actually, possibly. At worst, it's not even that. At worst, it's nothing. because it needs.
Oh, right, because you need to have at least one blue pitch to make it work at all. So that is true. That is true.
So we're gonna move on. There were 3 promos that were spoiled as part of the pre-release. Yeah, these are pre-release promos, I'm pretty sure. So 1 for each class. We have Moon Chakra. I think this card is actually pretty busted. So it's a 0 cost red card, actually, in Mystic Illusionist, which it probably should be. It says the next time you would be dealt damage this turn, prevent 3 of that damage. If you've transcended this turn, prevent 5. So on its face, preventing 3 from anything is very good.
Yeah.
And if you transcended, this card's way above rate, right? So if you've transcended this turn, prevent 5. That's insane, actually. So
yeah,
it depends on how often we're transcending. Again, all the transcend cards are legendary, so it's not like we can do this at any point. We are kind of a finite number, and depends on how many we want to play. Anyway, so
yeah.
Anything quick on that one, other than it's just busted? It's really good, even at its base.
Yeah, not much to say. It's pretty straightforward. The other ones will be pretty straightforward on their own sense, but yeah, it's prevention, better prevention if you've transcended.
Yep. The next one is Tide Chakra. So this one is a Mystic Assassin attack reaction. Again, red card, cost 1. But this one blocks for 3, which is pretty nice. We've seen most assassin cards block for 3. They block pretty well. So
yeah.
Target assassin or mystic attack action card gets +3. If you've transcended this turn, it gets +5. So before you transcend, this card is very weak. It's kind of like not so good Razor Reflex because it doesn't grant the go again. If you have transcended, this card is very much above rate as a reaction. So
yes.
1 for 5, even just on an attack action card, like that's face up, is really good. 1 for 5 on a reaction is insane because usually you're blowing your opponent out with something, right? Something on an assassin card that does something pretty detrimental to them. So
yeah. The one thing I'll say for this one and the next one we're about to talk about is that at least with these ones, you're more likely to have already transcended during your turn than during your opponent's turn. So that's the one thing that these 2 cards have going for them.
Another thing cool with Tide Chakra is that it targets an assassin or a mystic attack. So just be aware of that in your drafts. That's assassin or mystic, but not generic if we get generic attacks, which I'm sure we will.
Yes.
And then finally, Wind Chakra. This is the ninja action. So interesting that they all got kind of something different too. One got a reaction, one got an instant, and then this is just a non-attack action. So again, 0 cost, red pitch. Says the next Crouching Tiger you play this turn gets +3. If you transcended this turn, it gets +5.
That's so good.
This one I'm kind of on the fence about because I think most of the time you don't really want to. You're kind of just making your Crouching Tiger a head jab if you haven't transcended, which is fine. And usually Crouching Tigers come from nowhere, right? They're ephemeral, so it's not like you gave up a card typically.
Yeah.
So it's okay. If you transcended this turn, then you made your Crouching Tiger insane. So.
Not to mention, because you've transcended, you have Chi to activate your hero ability, so you're going to have a Crouching Tiger.
I'm just worried about red cards in general. So
yeah,
is this good enough to fit that red slot, right? So
that's exactly what I'm thinking. Is that maybe the like cost/benefit of these cards is that you're deciding whether to put a red over, more blues or other synergistic cards in your deck. But I think this one has a strong argument. Blocks 3 as well for a non-attack action. Really good. I think this will see play in most cases unless we just see better or more concise lists that can do without it.
Yeah, again, to really grab the full kind of spectrum of how good these cards are, we need the rest of this.
We need more information.
So that said, though, just looking at it, that's going to be it for us tonight, or today, because we'll probably release this during the day. But yeah, just want to say thank you all for joining us on this journey. We'll have some more videos. We'll have some gameplay. We'll have all kinds of stuff on this channel. So join us, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Yeah, I'm excited for Parts of Mistveil. I think this set is going to be
so excited.
Home run. And
I'm so excited.
Any parting words, Ryan?
Oh, sorry. I was saying, yeah, I'm so excited. This set looks like it's giving us it's giving us a new talent, which is always exciting. It's giving us three very unique kind of like classes of heroes with very unique looking playstyles. I think this is going to make it both a big impact on the constructed games or constructed meta in the future, and just give us something like a lot of new exciting things to try out in general going forward. So I couldn't be more happy with what I've seen so far.
First new talent since Uprising. So was the
Hmm.
last new talent that we got. So I was actually
Yeah.
on that. Brian Gottlieb's talked about it in a couple interviews where people are like, "Oh, there's no more talents. I guess they're not doing talents anymore." I was purely on that train for a while. I thought, "Oh, I guess we're done. Maybe the talent experiment was failed or something." But no, I'm very excited to see talents come back because I think they provide a really fun layer to the game. So
Yeah, I was gonna say I would have been super disappointed if we didn't see it again, but I was crossing my fingers at the very least to make sure to hope that we came back to the talented eras once again.
So on that note, that is going to do it for us. Thank you again so much for tuning in. This has been Adventure Code Gaming. I am AJ, that is Ryan, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Catch you later.